Crosby from the corner, twisting and turning inside out. Beautiful move, trying to get the shot on. He holds, he shoots, he scores! Absolutely!
The pitch, high fly ball center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall. Goal!
Roethlisberger gives him a lot of room here. Juju Smith-Schuster off to the races inside the 30, the 20, the 10.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios in Bethel Park. Thank you for watching us, and thanks to all my wonderful friends and family and fans. Appreciate all the support while I had COVID from December 10th. Just got done with my quarantine. I'm a little diminished here. I may have to defer some conversation to Chip and Nick. We'll see what happens there. But I'm glad to be back live, and it was great to do the Zoom show with you guys last week, so we could do that with Nick and Smokin' Jim. Tonight, Smokin' Jim is sick. He said he was throwing up. I heard he was out visiting his sweeties as Santa Claus, but we'll have to check that out a little bit later. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Nick Callis here. Chip Hayner is back after his surgery, first time ever 1 month ago. Way to go, Chip.
Great to be back. It's great to be back.
Great to see you back, and can't wait to hear some baseball for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our Merry Christmas show. I had fans that their son, Vinny's a big fan of our show. I found an old Pittsburgh Sportsline unused hat, gave it to them for their son. They gave me a nice treat. Look at this. Little treat I'm not sharing.
Yeah,
But other than that,
chocolate-covered pretzels do not suck.
I understand.
I'm just telling you.
And that the new fan is Joan Jackson. She actually went to Keystone Oaks, and she's moving to Bethel Park.
So nepotism is alive and well.
Yeah, and she's moving to Bethel Park. Sad news, her brother passed away. Good news is they're buying the house and they'll be living in Bethel Park, and they love Bethel Park. So welcome aboard with Pittsburgh Sportsline and your son Vinny. Thanks for having him watch our show, and I'm glad he's a fan. And we'll carry on a little bit here. We'll start with some promos. Let's see what we can come up with here. All right, we got A2 on here. Let's see what he does. 1, 2. Look at that. Yeah. A2's on fire. Stay Joey strong. We end each show. Joey Fabus before DIPG, the brain cancer that killed him at 8 years old, and after he had DIPG below. They started a great group called the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. The family's raised over $100,000 to try to find a cure for DIPG. Dr. Gary says they're getting close to finding that, and I may do an interview with him this year or next year coming up. So check it out, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Next up, let's see. Unbelievable, look at that. Always Be Smiling honors Bennett, who died at 16 and a half last year. Thanks to all of you for liking the page. Always Be Smiling boosted them up over 1,000 before December 11th. They thanked us for it and appreciate all the help with getting the word about Always Be Smiling, who helps kidney transplantees and patients and families, doing great things in the Pittsburgh area. So check them out. Always Be Smiling. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cough still with this COVID, but other than that, not too many difficulties. Look at this. A2's on fire. Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. Red trolley, you can't miss it. And they got a great coffee shop. Reginald's Coffee, fresh roasted coffee, better than Starbucks. Green tea, which I like, they have there. So check them out. They got a dance studio, a library. They got yearbooks. It's a 1905 redone schoolhouse. Very nice, all new windows, roof, etc. Check it out when they got events. All right, we forgot Olive Oil's Pizzeria. How could we do that? Thanks to Frank Fanera, 412-831-1900, Hillcrest Shopping Center. Can't miss it. Great Italian food, desserts, salads, you name it. Always busy there, great specials. And just check them out. They sponsor our show with an XL pepperoni pizza and a 6-cut Italian hoagie for all the interns here. And they do eat it. So I won't mention that Steve took home 4 cuts of it, but he loves that steak hoagie. All right. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. Look at that again. A2's on fire. Go to bpcf.org, get an application. I'm a trustee on the board. We have from $100 to $5,000 in grants for your organization. We've given out $1 million in 25 years to help groups in Bethel Park, and we continue to do so every day. Next up, we helped a lady that needed a kidney transplant. Kathleen Miller lives at Friendship Village on Boyce Road. She was at 17. She's down to 16, heading towards 15, where she'll need a transplant. She does have a living donor. We may have helped her get that living donor, and she'll notify us when she qualifies for her kidney transplant. So good luck, Kathleen. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and stay healthy. All right. All right, we've got a local business. We're just going to be promoting them the next week or two. 100 Broughton Road, right near the Walgreens, 412-851-3223. Contact Jeff at Senior Helpers. If you need to help people like myself, my age, younger or older, aunts, uncles, grandmas, you name it, anybody that needs help at living at home and staying in their house, they have people to do that for them. Very good. 412-851-3223. All right. There we go. Still have that good sheet. A1 that he gave me. I want you for BPTV. And Smoking Jim didn't know that that's Uncle Sam, famous for our country. Dave Cable made some fun of me. Look, he put my smiling face on Uncle Sam. I want you for BPTV. Call 412-831-3304 and volunteer. You can be like Nick, A2, A1, Ryan, Steve, Ethan, who's had to leave us tonight to help a Christmas special. So we Evan. I forget his name.
Whatever.
That's his thing.
I forget his name. When they first introduced him, they gave me 4 different names. So I'm trying to pick 1 out of 4. We got that covered. Evan, right?
Yes.
I got it. It wasn't COVID. No COVID fog there. Just the fog of being in here with the lack of good information. All right, here's my test for A2. He said he's ready. Skeet Service Station, 6103 Library Road, Red, White, and Blue Station. I have some sad news. Butch's legendary dad died last Thursday at 78 years old due to other complications in life. So may Butch rest in peace. Just a great man. So glad I met him. Just a legendary guy that did so many great things and founded Skeet Service Station. Just a great guy. But they work on anything and everything that runs on gas, electric too. You name it, you bring it in, they'll work on it and they'll fix it.
Was that Skeet's father?
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss, Skeets.
Yeah, just a tough, what a great guy. Still was sharp to the very end. Just got sick and had enough. That was it. So just talked to Skeets the other day. and they're going to cremate him and then bury him later on. So take care. May God bless you out there at Skeet Service Station. All right. Now we do What's on Your Mind, which is sponsored by Skeets. No smoking Jim Frazier, so we'll go to Nick Callis. What's on your mind?
Like Sal Levine, the talking machine, and if you want the green,
Yeah.
you've got to see Levine. Okay. I haven't sat in this chair since the 14th when I was first on the show. I think that's one of the last times Smoking Jim missed.
Yeah.
I miss you, buddy.
It's rare that he misses because he never gets hot or cold, just gets sick. But other than that, he's okay, in my opinion.
Well, I got to cover the Steelers fan this weekend, and I've come to a conclusion because I've heard some critiques that the Steelers' defense is weak and it's not playing well, and that's caused the Steelers to struggle. And I want to say that I think that that's nonsense, and I think that the Steelers' defense has actually kept the Steelers in games more often than not this season. I understand that they fell down early to the Vikings during that game and had to make a comeback, but the offense scored 0 points through 3 quarters. It's not necessarily the defense's fault. The defense is the reason why the Steelers won definitely against the Browns, against the Ravens, against the Titans this past week, and the defense is a big reason why the Steelers tied against the Lions. I also find it hard to believe that the Steelers would be tied for the lead in the division if they hadn't tied against the Lions, but all the turnovers by the offense, there were 4 or 5 major turnovers in the game against the Lions that made them lose that game. Get off the back of the defense of the Steelers. The offense needs to be held responsible for most of the losses this season and the tie to the Lions. The defense for the Steelers is strong and elite, and I think it deserves more credit than people are giving it, and it's gotten some criticism, which I don't agree with at all.
Well, and I have a tendency to agree with you there, young Nick. Any team that can hold a team like Tennessee to 13 points, and you're going to criticize the defense and say they're not playing well, maybe you need to have your eyes examined.
You need to have your eyes examined. I'm going to chip on that one. I don't understand the criticisms. I get that it seems like the defense is bad when the offense isn't producing, but if the offense produced,
between the
Steelers would be more
20-yard
successful.
lines, they can be bad. If they keep them from scoring, they're good.
Exactly, and that's what's
You know
on
what?
my mind.
Simple
Give-
as that.
Give them credit. Give the defense more credit because it's been keeping the Steelers in this season, and they very well might win the division. I find that baffling, but that's what's on my mind.
Nice. And thanks for everybody watching. Thanks from Tony from Chick-fil-A, Bill Means. Thanks for being on. We appreciate it. You're welcome for having me back, and thank you so much. Merry Christmas to all you guys and everybody watching. We appreciate it. Thanks, Pete, for watching us too. All right, thanks, Nick. I appreciate your opinions and honesty, and I like how you see it. So no comment from me. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan, and it's great to be back. Great to see you again, Nick, Alan,
Yes.
and our illustrious crew of volunteers. Great to see you all again. What's on my mind this week? Let's talk about the hypocrisy of the NFL. Why not?
Whoa.
Because the NFL is concerned about player safety. And if you believe that, I've got some ocean frontage for sale.
Hold it,
Okay.
one interruption. If they truly believed in safety, why did they add a game?
Well,
Just in my opinion.
there's that. Why do they play games on Thursday after people play games on Sunday? There's no way the human body can heal in 3 days from the violence of an NFL football game. You played football. You know the kind of
I played.
beating. Well, the games from when you and I played, the game's faster, they're bigger, they're stronger.
I still prefer the week break.
But that being said, so there's been an enormous outbreak of the COVID in the NFL. So the NFL at the start of the season, they said, well, if they have an outbreak of COVID and you can't field enough players for the team, then you're going to have to forfeit, and the rest of the players on your team aren't going to get paid. Well, guess what? When it got to the point where there was potentially 3 games this weekend that would have had to have been forfeited, all of a sudden the almighty dollar spoke up And here we're going to change the COVID protocols because we're worried about player safety, right? So we just changed the rules. Not the reason why the rules were in place. They were to protect the players, but we're going to protect the cash cow. So we have a game supposed to be played Saturday. It gets played last night. We got 2 games that just kicked off right now that were supposed to be played on Sunday. Anytime the NFL tells me that they're worried about player safety, I'm calling BS. I'm calling BS right now. Now, to further speak to that point, you've got players that are faking COVID cards to make it seem like they were vaccinated, okay? And they get busted for counterfeit COVID cards. So what do? We suspend them for 3 games without pay. Well, that's an adequate punishment.
Yeah.
If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had any amount of intestinal fortitude, Antonio Brown would not be on an NFL roster right now. Oh, but their number 1 wide receiver got his ACL ripped up on Sunday's game. All of a sudden, well, welcome back Antonio Brown, because it's in the best interest of the football team, not in the best interest of the message that it's sending to all the youths that watch the NFL players, that emulate the NFL players, that follow them blindly. I think it was a bad mistake on their part not to throw Antonio Brown out of the league, just to show everybody how serious they were about vaccination and the COVID virus. But
Oh, yeah.
just like we're going to change the rules to suit whether or not we can play games, well, you know what? Why don't we just slap him on the wrist? And I could go on, but that's what's on my mind.
I was saying that same thing when Kareem Hunt got signed by the Browns.
Yeah.
Because the Chiefs released him. I was like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? He's found guilty of domestic
You know what?
violence. And
If you're a 3rd-string long snapper, you're gone. You're never going to play another down. If you're a star, all of a sudden
There's opportunity.
things change.
Yeah.
Look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at
Chip
Antonio Brown.
Wow.
You know,
and I are backing each other up tonight. Totally agree.
I'm not short on anything to say, but I appreciate the honesty, fellas. That's how I think each game.
Merry Christmas.
yeah.
Wow. Merry Christmas show again. What's on my mind? Let me think.
Hey, I figured if I was going to come back, I had to come back strong.
You came back strong. Welcome back, Chipper. What's on my mind? Steelers win. That's how simple it is. I dozed off during half the game. I was a little fatigued. I don't know whether it was still suffering from COVID or just Steeler fatigue. And you guys know what I mean because you've been watching those games and okay, I'm back. Yeah, they did win. What, by 1 point? No criticism from me. W is a W. That's how I look at them. Always have been. They can be ugly. They can be beautiful, whatever they want. I just care about winning. And that's the bottom line. It's a pro sport. So we're going to come back with the VIP, Nick Callis. Don't change that dial or button or tuner.
Here's Lemieux. The center penalty coming up. Look at Lemieux. Oh, my heavens. What a goal. What a move. Lemieux.
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.
So Nick, did we forget anything?
I think we're missing one cable. You know what I mean?
No.
Can I help you guys? Where are we going, fellas? What the? Hey guys, what's going on?
So come to BP TV, where we have everything you need to make great TV shows, including the cables.
Here's Lemieux. His center penalty coming up. Look at Lemieux. Oh my heavens. What a goal. What a move. Lemieux.
So, one of the things I wanted to mention that I forgot about, Smoking Jim owes me a list of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Did you hear his list of top 10 position players of all time?
No, I did not.
Oh my goodness, he put 1B, Babe Ruth, and then he had 1A. You take a guess real
Pete
quick?
Rose.
Pete Rose, you're right. Oh, my
Predictable. Predictable. He knows if I
Oh,
would,
man.
he knows if I'd have been here, I'd have lost my mind.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, man, I wish Chip were here because this would be fun to discuss. But I bring up Major League Baseball because I have an opinion on Major League Baseball as we talk about the lockout. And I'm going to tell you who's responsible for the issue. Because you got the commissioner who's sending out press releases like, hey, we want to fix everything. You got the players union going, no, we have expectations. And it's a trick question because I think they're both responsible. I don't pick one
Absolutely.
side. It's terrible. This is probably, at the time we're living in right now, in sports. I mean, you watch the NFL, I'm not caring about player safety, very much in our opinions,
Yeah,
allegedly. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything
How can
specific.
you?
Right, well.
They're billionaires.
Yeah, well, can't slander them. You know, got to be careful. I don't have the money to back it up.
I don't understand why, but
But,
in our opinion.
no, I mean, they're going out and they're moving games around and they're moving the rules around a little bit to make these games happen. And, you know, they're still getting the revenue that they are. And you got Major League Baseball, which once was the sports giant, now dwindling. And this is probably one of the worst things to happen to the game in the modern era. The lockout in '94, which was kind of silly. So the players were like, no, we're not going to play under certain conditions. And the league was like, all right, no baseball for anybody. Bad decision. Now you got the players who are like, okay, you know, we don't want too many things to change, modernize things a little bit. The league's like, you know, let's create caps and let's, you know, adjust things this way. And the union's like, let's adjust things that way. And they can't come to an agreement. And
You know,
I'm trying to remember, one of the things was, Chip, if you know, what the players want, like the players want a cap, but the league doesn't.
No,
things
well,
like that.
here's where the problem lies, and I'm going to go back, 15 or 16 years to what the NHL did. The NHL got it right. Too many teams were hemorrhaging money, so the NHL shut it down and they fixed it, and they came back, and now. You know, and the problem with the NHL, it's more of a niche sport than it is like a national sport, like the NFL, and even Major League Baseball is still to this day. Problem that you're having with Major League Baseball, the NFL, they have true revenue sharing. So they have revenue sharing so that the teams that gets the first pick in the draft has the same amount of money available to it as the team that gets the last pick in the draft, okay? So they equally share revenues. Baseball, you don't have that. You've got teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Cubs. I could go on and on. They have their own separate TV deals that they don't have to share with the rest of the league. Now, if they spend X amount of dollars over what they consider their cap, then they have to pay a luxury tax, okay, which goes into a pool and gets divided up by the rest of the teams. So when you've got one team that prints money and makes $2 to $3 billion a year, and then you've got another team that doesn't, okay, how do you level the playing field? What baseball needs to do is to find a way of leveling the playing field so that it isn't every year the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, playing in the playoffs because they can afford to pay $35 million to all of the best talent. Now,
I mean, I think that's fine, but like it doesn't seem like anybody wants to fix things right now. Like
No.
the players' union has its demands, and then I got Rob Manfred sending out that press release, which I mean, it's fine. Public relations is a thing. He should defend himself, but he's like, we've gone through all these measures to try to fix this. We offered the universal DH, and we offered salary.
And that isn't the solution to the problem.
No, it's not.
Because here's what the problem is. The players have collectively bargained for the things that they have. They're not willing to give an inch on any of them because those are rights that they fought for. And the guaranteed contracts is big, okay? You sign a 10-year, $350 million contract, you play 1 year, and they throw you off the team, you're still getting $350 million.
Are they trying to get rid of the?
Well, it would make sense. And then when the owners stop giving out those contracts, well, then all of a sudden the players cry collusion.
Yeah.
Because that has destroyed some teams, because when you're strapped with that kind of financial responsibility and you're only getting X number of dollars in, it affects you. The owners, on the other hand, they don't want to give up a dime of the wealth that they have because, wait, we're the owners. We're all about the game. What they need to do is they actually need to sit down and determine what is in the best interest of the game.
But that's my opinion. I don't think anybody's sitting there going, "What's in the best interest of the game?" They could fix the system.
They could if they wanted
but they
to.
haven't. But they haven't fixed the system, and I think the players' union is crying out like, "Well, we've got the perfect time to do this because you can't play without us, and our agreement has expired."
Well, and here's what the thing is. At the end of the day, the players think that they have all of the stroke in this, but as it turns out, there's hundreds of thousands and probably even more people that are capable of playing Major League Baseball. They may not be as good as the elite that are playing in the major leagues, but the players can be replaced. And you know what? I mean, I've gone and watched AAA games, AA games, single A games. I love the game of baseball. I swear, some of those games that I've watched take you back to what the pure essence of the game of baseball is. It's not about bat flips and stepping out of the box and adjusting your jock strap and going like this with your legs.
All right, that's a whole other thing though. I don't think that the individual players though. I mean, the players are being represented by the union, so I'm sure there are certain players that want certain things, but I'm not going to generalize that every single player is all about that.
What they need to do is they need to level the playing field so that, look at the NFL, the parity they've got this year. In almost every city in the NFL, their teams, with the exception of 3 or 4, okay, out of 32, their teams have a shot at making the playoffs. Isn't that great for the fan base? Every single one of these cities, they've got interest, they've got people packing the stands. When you got a team that on April the 3rd, they're already out of the pennant race.
Right.
Okay, how are you going to put fannies in the seat in May, June, July, and August because the playing field isn't level?
I think there are a little more factors in comparison from the NFL to the MLB. Like in the NFL, you only play once a week. It's a 17-game season. Well, now it's a 17-game season. Major League Baseball is the longest season in sports, 162. I do think that overall it's the least taxing day to day. But still, it's a long season, and I've played on travel teams where you play games like rapid succession over weekends, and it is tough at a certain age. So I can understand, if you haven't played baseball or sports like that. But the fatigue is real. But even to that point, you've got. I don't even know if
they'll come to some kind of compromise. But what they're not going to do is they're not going to fix what's broken.
When do you think they come to a compromise?
They will. But they'll come, probably. I would think it's probably not going to be until February or March.
I'm looking
I
at
heard
March.
some people say that too, and I'm really upset because I can see that happening.
Look for Magic March.
Because right now, I mean, it's really not affecting anything right now. I mean, it's not affecting revenues. There's no games to be played. There's
Right.
no,
But you can't.
and so everybody, nobody can sign free agents right now.
But that's
though-
a problem.
yeah, well, not
Think
so
about
much.
well, think about this though.
They're there. They're there.
the
When they
biggest-
come to their agreement,
The biggest
they'll
free
start
agent,
writing checks.
The biggest free agent to come off the market was Max Scherzer, but I mean, I think that free agency could be harmed when you go into March and it's like everybody's still available, and how many teams like try to jump or overcompensate to get a player instead of having the 4 to 5 months in the off season to see
Well-
who's off the market and then make trades.
You're gonna hear the players scream collusion, because what's going to happen is free agents are going to be forced to sign for less than what they think their market value is. But
Oh, yeah.
it's how do
kinda hurts things, though.
how do the players determine market value? Isn't it what the owners are willing to pay them that determines market value?
Yes.
But everything's all twisted.
And
and
then how
perverted.
many
Well, I mean,
years?
well,
how
think-
many years do you have left to play at the level you're at? That's another,
And-
I mean,
card
now here's the thing: owners establish the value. Technically, I would argue though, in a world where you have social media and everybody's talking about the players that they like, talking about what they're worth, what people think influences what contracts happen. And I use Bryce Harper as another example, Machado in San Diego even as well. When these owners, these teams want to get these certain players because the player's name, doesn't matter how productive they are, the player's name, the established value the player might have had, the name recognition is what puts people in the seats.
You're getting into some areas where people invest in stocks, and before they actually earn anything, it's a perception they're a good company. Now you're talking about good players that have some track records and experience, and the perception of them is they're a great ball player. Now, how do you pay those values
See,
when
personally,
the perception
Personally,
is
what I
way
think
out
on these
there?
multi-year contracts, okay, I think what should happen, and this would never go over. People would lose their minds. Okay, you say, okay, here's what this contract that you put. These are what your statistics have been, because most of these guys put up the big statistics in their early to mid 20s, and then as they get into their 30s, their skills start to deteriorate. Okay, so you're getting paid $25 million a year, and we're expecting 25 home runs, a 300 batting average, 100 RBIs.
Right.
Well, when you start hitting 18 home runs and your batting average drops to 275 and you're only getting 75 RBIs, then your pay should go down accordingly. But to see people would lose their minds, that would never go.
Right.
But pay the players for their performance. If you perform at this level, here's what your salary range is going to be. And if you perform at if you bat 186,
Were you here?
okay, then you get paid by somebody that bats 186.
Right.
Were you here when I talked about Bryce Harper winning the National League Most Valuable Player?
No, I don't believe I was.
Okay, I was mad that happened because I think that there were several other deserving candidates, but he got a name and he performed. He had an up year this year.
Right, and his team didn't even make the playoffs.
I had the Phillies making it to the World Series this year. I remember I predicted that in August.
That
They're still
I'll
struggling
tell you
because
what,
they don't have-
I would have rooted for them, because I can tell you this. Andrew McCutchen gave Pittsburgh Pirates 9 great years, and he is nothing but a class act.
he's
And
a
even
free
though
agent. He didn't get signed.
even though he played in Philadelphia, when he came to Pittsburgh, I was there at 2 of the games.
yeah.
Standing ovation, and every time he came in at bat, the guy's just a class act.
Yeah.
Plays the game the right way.
Sure.
And he's a great representative for the city. Does a lot of things for the community, and I wish him well. But we'll see what happens, because here's a guy now who's 33, 34 years old.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he only batted 220, 230, but he had 26 or 28 home
yeah.
runs last year. You know what I mean? And
That means
played
something.
and played well.
Plays
But he
so well.
used to bat 315, 320 when he won his MVP award. He was
Sure.
batting consistently
314
300.
was his average when he won the MVP.
You know.
Well, I'm glad we had this little extended
It's both.
discussion.
Both sides are the problem.
No question.
They
I
got to
agree
get
with
it.
you.
They got to get it fixed because the game is suffering already, and it's suffering even more because of
But
this
you know what? Though,
controversy.
the game is suffering. Okay, and I get that. But you know what? The World Series champion this year, I think that was a great, great story for the game of baseball because in August they were nowhere. The Atlanta Braves weren't even considered to be possible
The Mets
to
were
make
in
the
first
playoffs,
place.
and they played their hearts out. They made it, and they beat all of the teams
Yeah.
that were supposed to beat them, and then they won the World Series. I think that was a great, great story for baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know nobody saw the Atlanta Braves
Not at
pull
all.
through, and the Atlanta Braves lost their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, who's one of the top 4 or 5 players in the league.
Oh, yeah.
They lost him in June or July, so they lost their best player. And watching Freddie Freeman and the joy that he had making that last out in the World Series.
What a player.
To me, that's why I love baseball.
No, that's good. Hey, shout out to Stephanie Hayner checking on Chip. Shout out to Joe Board. Bill Means gave us the update. Washington's up 10-0, and he agrees with you on Danny Murtaugh getting screwed. And Mike Parrish, thanks for watching. And we'll come back with whoever's next.
All righty, everybody. Things a little bit out of order. Smoking Jim has abandoned us tonight, but I was at the office today, bored out of my mind. I'm not a person that sits at a desk well, but because my recovery from my knee replacement surgery, that's what I'm doing right now. So, hey, as long as the paychecks keep coming into the bank account and I can pay the mortgage, we'll go that way. But Smoking Jim put out a post on Facebook, if any of you follow him on Facebook, regarding Dave Parker and getting him elected into the Hall of Fame. And that got me to thinking, because I honestly think that I'm going to give you the statistics of 2 former Pittsburgh Pirates who had great careers. I think one absolutely is going to get into the Hall of Fame, and I think the other one won't, even though I would feel that both of their statistics are worthy. First, the first player I'm going to describe made his major league debut for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1968. He made his last major league appearance in 1985, October 5th. His career statistics: career batting average of .303, 2,743 hits, 219 home runs, 1,326 RBI. He played with the Pirates from 68 to 77, from the Texas Rangers from 78 to 81, the Montreal Expos in 1982, 83, the San Francisco Giants in 1984, the Phillies in 1984, the Dodgers in 85, and the Toronto Blue Jays in 1985. He was a 7-time All-Star, a World Series champion in 1981, 3 times a Silver Slugger Award winner from 1980 to 1982, National League batting champion in 1982, and the National League RBI leader. I think those statistics on their own do make this candidate worthy for the Hall of Fame. And I'll go over the other players' statistics, and then we'll talk about who each of these players are. He made his major league debut July 12, 1973 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Made his last major league appearance for the Toronto Blue Jays in October of 1991. His career statistics: a .290 batting average, 2,712 hits, 339 home runs, 1,493 runs batted in. He played for the Pirates from 73 to 83. 84 to 87, he played for the Cincinnati Reds, the Oakland Athletics in 88 and 89, the Milwaukee Brewers in 1990, the California Angels in 1991, and the Toronto Blue Jays in 1991. He also was a 7-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, 1979 and 1989 with the A's, National League MVP in 1978. 3 times a Gold Glove Award winner, 1977 to 79. 3 times Silver Slugger Award, 85, 86, and 1990. 2-time National League batting champion, 1977, 78. And a National League RBI leader in 1985, and he's in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. The first player that I mentioned was Al Oliver. He was part of the 1971 outfield that included Willie Stargell in left field, Al Oliver in center, and Roberto Clemente in right. Al Oliver also did double duty and played first base, where he earned the nickname Scoops. Dave Parker was the other gentleman, and he was a right fielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and for a 5-year period may have been the best player in baseball. However, I believe that Al Oliver is more worthy of being elected into the Hall of Fame before Dave Parker. And Dave Parker's smudge on his legacy was the drug trials that tainted the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 1983 and 1984 season. His participation in that almost caused the Pirates to be moved out of Pittsburgh, and that's a black mark that sports writers and people that vote for the Hall of Fame, they're going to hold that against him. And I think that's the only thing that keeps Dave Parker from getting into the Hall of Fame. And if you don't know about the seriousness of the drug trials in Pittsburgh in the mid-'80s, I suggest you Google it and read about them. Al and I lived through that, and it was embarrassing to say the least. And it was quite a stain on a proud franchise.
Oh yeah, and going to games with under 1,000 people there, because I would go to 30, 40 games, and you'd see sometimes under 1,000 people there. It was
Yogi
terrible.
Berra, one of the greatest players in the game, his son was tainted by it too.
Yes.
There was players from the St. Louis Cardinals that were tied up, Keith Hernandez being one of them,
Sure.
who actually shared the league MVP award in 1979, the year that the Pirates won the World Series. He shared the MVP award
Stargell.
with Willie Stargell. So,
Very
unfortunately
sad,
for Dave
dark
Parker,
days. Yeah.
and Dave Parker, I do believe he's got some form of
MS.
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's disease, and it's sad to see such a once proud athlete, in the shape that he is in now, But maybe one of the Veterans Committees one of these days. But Alan and I have interviewed Al Oliver on Pittsburgh Sportsline about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know that Nick has met him, and I'm going to tell you something. I was like a kid in a candy shop when I got to talk to him, because he played on one of the teams that meant the most to me in my childhood. The '71 Pirates, to me, is the greatest team of my lifetime. But that's just a personal opinion. Everybody's entitled to theirs.
Right.
But I was 11 years old when they won that World Series, and I lived and died with every game. And it was it was a great thing to be a Pirate fan then.
I told you the last time. He told me the last time he saw Roberto Clemente was in Green Tree, so I was like, heavy stuff.
Well, the interesting thing when we were interviewing him, one of the things that I threw him, because I asked him a question, and I said, what was it that made Danny Murtaugh such a good manager? And he was completely unprepared for that question, because he was the manager of the Pirates through a fair portion of his career, but more importantly when they won the '71 World Series. And the answer he gave was just, was great. Danny Murtaugh missed out on his chance for the Hall of Fame on December 5th. The Veterans Committee, they needed 12 of 16 votes to get in, and unfortunately he received 3. And I just don't see how that Danny Murtaugh is not in the Hall of Fame. 2 World Series wins. You just read his, and I think the people that were voting, I don't even think they even knew anything about his career.
No.
And if you're in a position where you're voting on seniors, you need to research them all and what they brought to the game. And I think Danny Murtaugh, if you look at his career achievements, hands down, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Couldn't argue with you one bit on that. I agree. Definitely. what segment is this? Can somebody talk in my ear? Oh, we don't have a mic.
It's on location.
Oh, okay. On location, not much happening. Merry Christmas to all. We're looking for on location next year, and we may have a couple. Master Zhang bought a new facility in Bridgeville. I'll give you a little teaser. Stay tuned January or February for a special edition of Master Zhang's new dojo. And it's always great there. He's legendary, and what he does, he broke 10 boards with 1 foot. Not too many people have ever done it. And he did it above my head once with 1 board also. So he's a legend and a hero in my mind. And we're going to come back with some Steeler talk, and we'll be back in a minute or so.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it.
My friends, our Frisbee skills are quite impressive. They're almost as impressive as our TV production skills that we honed at BPTV.
Yes, without BPTV, we could never achieve such promotional prowess.
So volunteer at BPTV and you too can become a TV production master.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it.
Nice little Steeler talk graphic. I'm glad I'm on board with it. Now I know where we're at. Steeler talk. I don't have much to say about them because I suffered that Steeler fatigue, COVID fatigue, and everything else. So anybody want to chime in, I'll let them sound off.
Well, you know, the Steelers, the problems with the Pittsburgh Steelers don't lie within the defense. I think the problems with the Steelers, we talked about this before the season started. I thought it was going to take half a dozen games before the offensive line started playing with any consistency and cohesiveness. Well, we're 13 games or 14 games into the season, and our offensive line stinks.
They still don't pick anybody up.
They're not moving anybody off the ball. Najee Harris gets most of the yardage he gets after he's been hit. He doesn't
2 to 3
yards.
yards.
The line. He doesn't get hit 15 yards down the field.
2 to 3
he gets
yards.
hit in the backyard.
2 to 3 yards in the backfield.
Yeah, and then he still gets 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
You know, Najee Harris, I think, could be an all-world running back.
If we had 2 good linemen, he'd have 1,500 yards.
And granted, injuries have been a factor. They're starting 2 rookies on the offensive line. And I don't know. I hear this guy on the radio once every Tuesday. His name's Zach Banner, and he's supposed to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. Okay, so he started 1 game in 2020, blew out his knee, and he hasn't played since.
Now he's on the fan.
Yeah, but I mean, I would like to see him on the field. And this is a guy that's a huge human being.
Yeah.
He looks like a road grader. I don't see how he could not blow people off the ball, push them back 5 yards, and then have the running backs. You know, the fact that our offense is so inept, I think it begins and ends with the play of the offensive line.
Yeah.
Ben doesn't have time to throw the ball. The receivers don't have time to complete their routes. And the running backs are not getting any. They're getting hit before they get to the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
So I think if we had a line that could protect the quarterback, I think our wide receivers would be more effective, which would make our running backs more effective, which would enable us to control the game. We played the Tennessee Titans. They had almost 20-some minutes of possession time in the first half on Sunday. That's not the way you win football games. Now, granted, the Steelers' defense only kept them. They only scored 10 points.
Right.
Can you ask a defense to do more with less.
In this day and age, no.
No. And, so, everybody says, the Steelers defense, yeah, not being able to stop the run, that's a problem. But if you're still giving up yardage like you are, and you're only giving up 13 points like last week, and they gave up 200 yards rushing. Now, against Minnesota, that was something completely different. But maybe if our offense is able to get a few first downs and move the ball down the field,
Sure.
Minnesota isn't putting up 28 points in the first half.
Good point.
So,
Good point. And why do we always start out so slow?
Well, and it goes right back to the offensive line because we cannot control the ball. We cannot, we're losing. They say this, it goes back, this is football 101. The game's won in the trenches.
Yeah.
You have to win the line of scrimmage on the offensive side and the defensive side. And right now, we're not doing it on either.
As somebody who was once a lineman and a fullback in football, for all the people who do not give credit to
Gee, guys, I hate to interrupt. I didn't know you were going to be back in the studio so soon, Al. However, here's an award that I did not present to you
No.
at the banquet.
No.
Congratulations on 10 years, Al.
Oh, thank you so
There's
much.
also an article in the Chronicles if you look it up about it.
No way. I'm
Thank you,
honored.
Dave.
Glad I
That's
could make it in tonight.
Wonderful. I'm glad you're feeling better, Al.
Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
You made my
Christmas, Dave.
Christmas right now. My 5th award this year.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Award-winning Pittsburgh Sportsline
Right here, folks.
host and producer,
Wow.
the talking machine, Al Levine.
greatest.
At your service.
And I'll tell you what, mark this down on your calendars, everybody. That man is speechless. This does not happen. That is a first. The first time Al Levine has had dead air on Pittsburgh Sportsline since 2011.
Thank you. Thank you. I've recovered now. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate some good ball busting and sarcasm. So carry on. What a surprise by the director of BPTV, the only employee except for Nick Callis, and he works for BPTV. And he presented that on his night off.
That's incredible. And Alan, it's
Unbelievable.
very, very richly deserved. You've, congratulations, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad I could be a part of it.
Thanks for being on board. Thanks you. Thank A2, A1, Ryan. If I ever meet Ethan again, or is that Evan?
So okay. So like to keep the ball rolling on sports. Okay.
Yeah.
We pretty much, we beat the Steelers up as much as we need to because you know what? They're 7-6-1.
Wait. Before we stop with the Steelers, the offensive line's important. That was the analogy I was getting.
Oh, okay.
Al said a win is a win, no matter what. As long as they're winning, it's good. Question though, I want to know from you is: do you think the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay. Do you think they're going to make playoffs?
No.
I do. I do think they're going to make the
I
playoffs.
do too, but you don't.
No.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
No.
Now we can move on.
So next up, we
That's
got
my
the Pittsburgh
opinion.
Penguins.
That's what I wanted to know.
7 games in a row. They've won 7 games in a row. No Evgeny Malkin. No
Wow.
Brian Rust. Sidney Crosby, in his return, has made the team better. And now here's my thing. Okay, the NHL's had to shut down because of the COVID. Okay, they're shutting down until after Christmas.
Yeah.
The NHL announced this afternoon they will not allow the players to play in the Beijing Olympics in February.
Wow.
So that all being said, Evgeny Malkin is now wearing the practice jersey that doesn't allow him the non-contact jersey. And it always seems that when Evgeny Malkin or Sidney Crosby, that the team plays better without their
Collectively,
stars
yeah.
because they've got so many guys that are doing the little things that when Gino comes back, people kind of like stand there and they want to let him do his thing,
Good
And
point.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. Tristan Jarry is playing out of his mind. Last year, after we lost in the playoffs to the Islanders again, everybody wanted to run him out of town. The Penguins needed to get rid of him. They needed to bring back Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, yeah.
And it went on and on and on. And I'm going to tell you something. Tristan Jarry has proven to me so far this year, he's a number one goaltender.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Me too. Let me explain. Me too.
I mean, he's playing as well as any goaltender in the league right now. And the Penguins are
Let me interrupt. What's that penalty kill?
Yeah.
They are from 27th last year to number 1 this year on the PK.
Right, and then
you talk about how impossible that is in sports.
Well, to be able to be effective on the penalty kill, you've got to be willing to sacrifice your body. Okay, and when the Penguins won their last 2 Stanley Cups, you remember who was it? Nick Bonino played on one leg. He broke his leg in the midst of a power play. Would not take himself off the ice and was still putting his body in front of pucks.
Sure.
It takes a certain type of demeanor and mentality to be able to play the penalty kill. You don't have to worry about trying to get a shorthanded goal. It's about disrupting the other team's offense. Penguins have been doing it as well as anybody.
No, they have. Bill Means agrees with you. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate your input. And to all the rest of you, thanks for tuning in and watching the show. It ended up being a special Merry Christmas show. How did I get another award? 10 years.
It's Christmas.
700 plus shows. Thank you, Santa.
Pittsburgh
I
Sports
must have been a good boy.
Pittsburgh Sports Line, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Thank you, Santa. And I was truly speechless. And that was no surprise.
Yeah, and we got it on tape, folks.
Silence.
Keep this episode. And put it in.
It's a keeper. It's a keeper. Number 700 something. I don't know what number exactly, but we'll know. But no, it's been great. Hey, thanks for letting us entertain you in your living rooms, and we appreciate the great feedback.
On your smartphones.
Your smartphones now.
Your computers.
Yeah. No, we just appreciate the interactions. Going to Aldi's and people say, hey, keep doing that, kid. Or somebody telling me about a cooking show or something else they like. So glad we could inspire you to like sports a little bit, put your opinions out there. Don't be afraid to put your opinions out there because we never let the facts get in the way of our opinions. So you can carry on, too, with that.
We got a comment section for it on Facebook, too. So.
And thanks to Nick. Nick opened the door for Facebook Live, and we've been doing it each week for now how many months now? So
Since August.
Can't beat that. Another
And I love the feedback, you guys. Keep it coming. Whether you agree or disagree with us, hey, you know what? Everybody's point of view is valid. And,
you and I are still sitting next to each other.
Yeah, you know what? Nick and I haven't.
We all bleed black and gold.
Nick and I haven't choked each other tonight, you know?
No,
we rarely see eye to eye on things. Tonight, a little bit more so, but hey.
It's the Christmas spirit.
They're a little bit closer tonight than normal, so I think that helped with the bonding. Little things like that, a little tweak.
It's just being respectful of somebody else's opinion.
Well, yeah. And then let the facts decide it. Like if the Steelers win the Super Bowl, I'll concede that I was wrong. And you guys can be right.
But you don't lose if they win the Super Bowl. So that's the thing.
No, we all win if they win the Super
Bowl.
Nobody accused me of ever being dumb. They're not going to start yet. Well, we're just about out of here. You know we end each show with please stay Joey strong.